Okay. Boa
Okay.
for 21. Uh, Koby for 20. And
What? Are
then
you serious?
I'm gonna explain my case. Hello, YouTube. This is the Galley La Podcast, and you just heard a clip from our 2022 Top 30 Power Scaling, where I am trying to innocently seek after the truth, promote the truth, as Kobe being in the top 30, and me being viciously slandered by Jimperer and Gboss. And so, anyways, I just wanted to a refresher on history and all that. But anyways,
Uh-huh.
this is Akainu Fanboy. That's Gboss. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. We are going to be reviewing One Piece chapter 1088, and this was a fire chapter. Gboss, your thoughts?
Uh, just basic thoughts. I really liked it. Um, I knew that you would like it. You being a big fan of the Marines and everything.
Let's go.
But yeah. Also, I like the cover spread with the East Blue outfits. You can kind of see how Oda's art style has evolved, depicting different characters.
Yeah, it is kind of funny on the One Piece card game too. They're covering a lot of the East Blue characters right now. Like they have a Arlong and the Captain Kuro card leader right now and everything. So it's kind of a cool timing with that. But so yeah, so the title chapter is the final lesson, and then we get something kind of unique from Garp and I'd say the Marines, where they're posing a moral question, because we usually get the different types of justice when we talk about the Marines and everything, right? How there's like absolute justice, there's Lucci's dark justice, there's moral justice, there's lazy justice, there's unclear justice, right? And I think kind of right here you kind of see that partially manifested here, where Garb saying if you had a baby and an old man, which one do you save? And you only have one spot open on the boat.
When I read it, I gave Kobe's answer. That's what my thought immediately went to.
Yeah, and I think like that's definitely Kobe's type of character, but obviously this is a foundation to how Garp views his type of justice later on, you know? Um, and this may seem controversial. I mean, you could challenge me on this point if I'm out of whack here, but I feel like the Marines have like an ideal or like a set of morals that they do live by, even if it's like a wicked set of morals, while pirates tend not to. Pirates tend to have more dreams, right? While the Marines tend to have more of an ethic.
I don't know. There's definitely morality to pirates, even if it's not so cut and dry. I think that because you can't say like Luffy Luffy helps people who help him, or
Right.
I mean, sometimes even when he sees injustice, like he helped Tama at the beginning of Wano, and the more he, like, his final punch against Kaido was, I want it to be a country where no one can have to worry about food. So like Luffy's sense of justice would be more so in his friends. So I wouldn't necessarily say that they have no justice. They have like everything that you just listed, the different types. He has his own different type. And I don't know if that's necessarily just for his crew, or if that applies to all pirates. I mean, would that apply to Kid or what?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not talking about like good and evil per se. I'm more saying like I think Luffy kind of goes moment by moment, while it seems like the Marines have like a protocol. If that makes sense.
Well, yeah, because they're an establishment, they're an organization.
That's what I mean, right? Like they have like a duty, right? But a pirate is more kind of like following your desires, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that they're immoral.
I'm not saying like they're per se immoral. because like I'm saying, there's bad Marines with bad types of ethics too, right? And
Yeah.
things like that. I'm just saying they have like
Yeah, like Akainu.
right, yeah, there's like Akainu, and then there's Lucci, right? And then you have Kizaru, who's more like unclear, right?
Yeah.
But you kind of see this like in the setting of, you don't really see this as much in the setting of becoming a pirate, but this is like in the structuring of a Marine, like they're asking them like, what would you do in this situation, you know? And obviously this sets up the foundation for the end of the chapter where Garp does the sacrifice, you know, like he's living out what he values in terms of justice. And I think it's kind of interesting because I think Garp genuinely does believe in the Marines and the message and justice at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes we kind of see it as a... Oh, sorry, go.
I was going to say, yeah, I think he believes in the ideal version of it, but that's why he doesn't want to be like under the Celestials, right? He wants to be able to help on his own without being pinned down with directly having to answer to them and being under their thumb.
Right, and I think like sometimes it could be a gag where he gets mad at Luffy and Ace for becoming pirates, and he kind of disobeys the Marines and doesn't take it seriously. But he is genuinely a true believer. At the end of the day, you know.
Yeah, and you look at wasn't he proud of Luffy for like taking down Crocodile and everything?
I believe so. Yes, that's coming back to me.
Yeah. But yeah, it's its own sense of justice. Yeah.
Right. And so you kind of see, and again, you see the moral foundation theme get carried over, where we see a flashback at Amazon Lily, where Koby is protesting that they're taking these Marines back to Pirate Island, you know? And so basically you kind of see the politics come in, and so this is where you see the similarity between Garp and Koby, where they don't care about the politics that much, but the Vice Admiral's like, okay, we got to go along with this though, because we can't start out a whole war with the Yonko right now, basically.
Yeah, but just thinking about that again, like the Vice Admiral on Amazon Lily, when Koby offered himself up, one of the Marines like said, "Oh, Koby's a member of Sword." So, and they're free to engage the Yonko on their own terms and be disowned by the Marines if need be. But
that's a good point. Yeah.
But that flashes back to Drake in Wano, and I think his name's Guernica, the blue scarf, CP0 agent. Because that episode aired recently, and the anime to me portrayed when the elders were giving the order to the CP0 agent who gave it to Blue Scarf, saying like, "Oh, you need to take out Luffy." I don't remember. I had to recheck in the manga, but the anime made it much more apparent that he was like scared to do it. So
yeah.
And didn't he say something about Drake and his own sense of justice?
Yeah, that he I think he respected the fact that he followed his own sense of justice too.
Yeah. So that's like a big thing. Like I said before, maybe Sword is the ideal Marines, like going and stopping pirates wherever they see them, without being like caught up with red tape or whatever.
Right. And I think when so I think it's a good way to kind of segue into the present, where the more we're reviewing this, the more I'm realizing how the themes are really beautifully illustrated here, and then kind of how this themes with the Navy has been something Oda's been, not as much as with pirates, obviously, but but it's always kind of been there with the background, the tension there. But yeah, basically we just see the scale of how huge Pizarro's hand is right here, and how massive it is, and how bad these Marines are. So you're basically seeing the build up to hype up like, whoa, this guy's crazy, super powerful, and I do like how Garp's just like smiling, having a good time, and he thinks of a plan immediately, because you don't really see him as like a strategic person. But he's like, Gruss, Koby, Helmeppo, you're going to do these specific roles, and this is how it's going to go.
Yeah. I mean, because in the flashback, we even see, like, Gruss was in the academy with Koby and Helmeppo. So they probably all grown to be somewhat familiar with each other.
Yeah.
And their own fighting styles.
Yeah, and so exactly, and Garp getting trained under Garp is just huge. And again, I just want to say, like we're gonna talk about the development of Koby, but even the development of Helmeppo, when you see him do a speed blitz with Gruss and Koby, it's crazy to think where he used to be when we first met him.
Yeah,
it's nuts, and now he's fighting off like Yonko pirates, basically. It's really cool in that sense. So I think like Oda gives such a primacy to the East Blue saga, and that was part of my reason why I've always been like very enthusiastic behind Koby's potential, which we will see later here. But yeah. So anyways, it was just kind of interesting. Like they're basically just talking them down, and Gruss is like, hey, do you have like any explosives to take that thing out? Because like that's basically what's gonna be taken.
Well, yeah, because later on in the chapter they said it's the size of a mountain.
Yeah. Which is so would you say it's bigger than Pika from Dressrosa? I mean, like obviously size is like impossible to scale. But,
I mean, I think they're comparable, which I was gonna bring up later, with or I could bring it up. Like Don Chinjiao was able to break through that. So
yes,
Koby's at least on the scale of him, who could split a continent.
Yeah, that's crazy, and I think it's fair to say Pizarro is stronger than Pika. We could throw that in there too.
Yeah, because Pika can only do stone, whereas Pizarro can manipulate all parts of the island.
Yes, and so you do get like very heavy Whitebeard vibes, I think, with this, which I think is kind of ironic in a way. You had like all the memes of Sporto stabbing Whitebeard last week, right? And then you have Garp feeling the pain here from Shiryu's, critical hit too.
Yeah.
I know this is gonna sound disrespectful, but the ironic part is that Garp was successful and Whitebeard wasn't.
I mean, that's true. If only Garp had put up a fight with Ace, but
yeah, but I think that's a good theme.
I was kind of joking, but
no, but isn't that kind of true though? Because I was thinking about that today, where he's putting in this much effort to save Koby's life, but he didn't do it for Ace's life. But I think this goes back to he cared about Ace a lot, but again, he is a true believer in justice at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's what held him back.
Yeah, but that's even why he didn't directly involve himself in the Marineford War, because that would have, like, with his strength that he's showing now, I think it would have been a lot different outcome. Even maybe probably worse for Whitebeard and his crew.
I think it would have been. I mean, it was kind of a bloodbath already, but it would have been even worse.
Yeah.
Like, Luffy wouldn't have made it out alive, probably. And obviously, Garp would never do that to Luffy, but just in terms of that. I'm not going to even bring up the Shanks element, so we will continue that for later. But that speed blitz he did against Kuzan, though, punching him into the ground, was insane.
I was going to say that, because, wait, let me look at the panel. Yeah, like, Aokiji was, like, shocked at how fast he was.
Yeah. Injured too, right?
Yeah, old and slow, as
Old and slow.
people have put it.
And then he just does this like bounce on off the building and it's going straight towards Bizarro.
Yeah. Then we get to see Galaxy Divide, which is a cool move, and we kind of get to see that the island fruit is different than the stone fruit with Pika, because Pika didn't really take damage from his avatar, whereas Bizarro is getting hurt whenever part of his island is destroyed. It kind of reminds.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the this one Bankai in Bleach, Komamura's. If anyone's a fan of Bleach or is watching the new anime. But anyway, but yeah, well, even before that, we get to see how Meppo kind of blocked the way for Gruss and Koby to charge forward.
Right, and it's just the scale of that attack's insane. I wouldn't say it's like a kind of like the max Whitebeard attacks, you know, where he's destroying everything, but in terms of the lesser attacks of Whitebeard, it seems comparable, you know? It's just nuts, but he's injured and he's not in his prime remotely.
Yeah.
Like, this is how strong this guy is. And he's like fighting off all the Blackbeard pirates at once, and he creates this opening for Koby, and I like that Lime and Gruss live up to his expectations.
Yeah.
Because, like, one, that's like a nice, sweet moment between Koby and Garp, but it's also, I think it kind of further adds that layer is that Kuzan, Ace, and Luffy didn't live up to his expectations, you know? And now he finally gets, I don't know, he took this sniveling, weak coward, and it's just kind of like, okay, out of all the places you find your prodigy, and he finds it in this guy, you know?
Yeah, because Koby's kind of, Koby himself could make like his own shonen protagonist of his own series, just in terms of like his growth, because I think people still downplay his growth, because he's grown faster than even Luffy.
100%.
And he I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like he didn't have a genetic prodigy of like Luffy or Ace. He didn't have any of that, and look at how far he's come. You know.
Yeah.
It just seems to be out of pure willpower he's done all this, and he's done it from like a pure place too. You know, he has a completely pure heart. He just wants to help people, right?
Yeah. Well, speaking of willpower, are we gonna get into the panel?
Sure. You take this. Yeah, you take it.
So, I'm always on the lookout for stuff like hockey sand, or any forms of hockey, but there's the thing where Kobe's charging up, and it looks like he has the Conqueror's lightning on his fist. I think people might be downplaying it, but that lightning is kind of specific for the Conqueror's coding.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we see that he's kind of earned it, because we get into his flashback, which I was skipping over.
Like, I've been hyping him up for a while, but this was the only person who like kind of helped stop the Marineford War, the only Marine that stood out. And if that's not the quality of a king right there, I don't know what is, you know? get in between the strongest people in the series and just try to stop it, you know. But I did like how they were kind of building up to it, just like talking about his training regimen and how he kept on doing more training and like.
Yeah, because we asked last week, we were like, did he do the battleship bags at all? Or was that in like the cover story?
Yeah.
And we're like, no, it wasn't. But it was in the background. It was in the flashback.
So how we see these, comparing this flashback with Kuzan's flashback, it's showing that Koby worked harder than Kuzan, just because he went above and beyond the training, basically. You know? Which is a surprise. Kuzan's lazy, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of a parallel, like when Whitebeard died. He said to Teach, "You're not the one that Roger was waiting for." And I'm wondering if like Garp is maybe looking at Aokiji like that, like but he actually found the one, and it was Koby.
Right, and I think it's really powerful, and I like kind of the build up for this all too. It's, I don't know, yeah, because I always like the little mini training cover story, because it's like I love seeing training in animes, little training montage. I think it's really cool, and I think that how the Marines do it, it's super cool too. Especially we don't really see that much training in One Piece. I mean, we just saw it a little bit with Rayleigh and Luffy.
Yeah,
and that's it really. So I like this montage with Koby right here, and it's like a perfect thematic build-up, and then you see basically all the Marines and everything, and we see the King's Hockey most likely right there, and the panel was freaking phenomenal for honesty and Pack. It's clean cut right through.
Yeah. And again, it's like on par with Dun Chinjiao, who could split a continent.
But wasn't Don Chinjiao, wasn't he elevated by the king? I'm blanking on his name right now. The boxer.
Lisabello.
Yeah, did he punched him for Don Chinjiao to go flying basically into the arm?
No, I think there was an earlier part where like Pika was like going toward the people on the plateau, and I think Elisabella did like a miniature king punch, and Don Chinjiao then took out the other part.
Okay.
But yeah, actually that might have been the same hand that they combined their attack on, so that Koby would be more powerful than them. I would have to reread the part.
Yeah, I know too.
But
but we can both agree Pizarro is stronger than the Pika though.
I think so.
Yeah. But even the speed blitz and the height he had to go to get to here is impressive in itself.
Yeah, and Kobe's not like in top shape right now because he's been prisoner this whole time. But yeah, I wonder how many people are gonna be on the Kobe train now, because you've been on it. I gave him an honorable mention in my top 30. I just needed to see more, and this is the more.
Yeah. Well, some people have been saying, I have not been saying, I haven't said this, I've just heard people say this, that Jibber said he wouldn't make the top 50, you know, so, which I think is outrageous. But, you know, I think if I were to put him in a category right now, I'd approximate just like around first commander level, roughly, in that area.
I would say maybe second. Hear me out, just because of like, I think he would need more training with the coding, because he doesn't seem like he's like Gruss was saying, like, you've been hiding your truth strength all this time. I think that maybe he would need a little bit more training with it. Like, yeah. I mean, basically the Kaido fight was a big old training thing for Luffy, if you look at it. Because he just learned how to do the Conqueror's coding.
Yeah, I would just say the feat, like, so this feat and then the feat with Boa not getting turned into stone were kind of the two big ones for me, where all the Blackbeard pirates got turned into stone, but not him. And this, I see a hard time Koby doing this to King and him not being KO'd, for example.
Yeah.
Like, or even Katakuri, I think, would be pretty messed up from this.
Well, if he can hit Katakuri.
I mean, I don't think there'd be much place for him to hide, when you're destroying, like, a...
I'm just saying future sight and his devil fruit and everything. But,
Right.
But yeah, I want to see how they handle this in the anime. What kind of sauce they're gonna give to this.
Yeah, and one point I would also add to it, which is the speed thing. Kobe's also always been really quick, because remember in Ennie's lobby where he got he caught Luffy off guard and he hit him in the right below the chin too.
Yeah.
So he's always been like having an aptitude for speed. So think of how quick his speed is at this point. To jump up in the air this high to destroy this arm before it hits a boat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, just saying, maybe future sight may have some difficulties when you're this quick. I'm just saying. But,
I mean, there's the debate that Koby himself might have future sight.
Yeah, because he has a special type of observation, right? With, after the Marineford War.
I mean, he has the same as, like the people on Sky Island, where he can hear everything.
Yeah, because that's how he destroyed the torpedo too. With the submarine and everything. Yeah. But yeah, everyone's like amazed at everything, and
I like how
really cool.
I like how Garp's just laughing.
Yeah, and he's laughing because he's proud of the smoker and the job he's doing. Oh wait. Sorry, I meant Koby. Sorry, my bad. I don't know where that came from, but
yeah, Smoker will get his day.
But it's just in terms of the handing out W's and L's. But you were right on Kuzan. Okay, he didn't kill Garp, but he impaled him down. So you do get like a W there. I thought it would be Blackbeard would be the one to put down Garp, but I did predict the Koby destroying the arm though. I did predict that one for last week.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I just wanted to I wasn't sure how long this fight was gonna last. But yeah. So speaking of that, of Garp, we see him impaled with the spear, and it says that the legendary hero Vice Admiral Garp would be declared missing in action on Pirate Island. Do you think that this means that he's dead? Or is he going to be sold or held captive?
I think he'll be held captive. I think it would be a funny, ironic thing if it was kind of like a reverse Marineford in the sense that Blackbeard has Garp and Luffy tries to save Garp in a way, because he's kind of suffering the same fate as Ace, and then he has to be rescued by Luffy, Yeah. I think that'd be. I'm not saying it has to be to the scale, but I think it'd be ironic on a thematic level there. I don't think he's dead. I think the panel where he's impaled really caught me off guard.
Yeah.
That really I didn't expect to be that heavy.
Yeah.
And I think it also kind of goes back to Ace too, because Ace got impaled there as well.
Yeah. Except I think Garp is a little less donutty.
Right. Well, it's kind of like only Akainu can do the donuts at the end of the day, and that's why Kuzan's not Fleet Admiral, And
it's true.
It's also the panel where he's just laughing though, impaled is so badass.
Yeah.
And he's such a so much of a cooler character than Dragon, you know.
Oh yeah. I won't
just personality alone, you know.
Yeah, I won't argue with you on that.
It's phenomenal, and I think like, but again, I think this makes him a more successful, better character than Whitebeard in that sense, because he got the job done in a way, you know, to rescue his captive, you know, and I think that's really cool because, you know, they were comparable age, comparable power levels, and all this stuff, you know, and he was able to get it done, and he's laughing here, smiling with the mission accomplished. And so, do you think this will hurt the Blackbeard Pirates' reputation or help it? Like, just in terms of the net positive and net negatives here.
I think positive. I think it'll be a positive effect on them because they killed the hero of the Marines. They killed Garp, or reportedly. But so I think that Garp will stay alive with this. If it was just Kuzan, but having like Vasco Shop, Pizarro, San Juan Wolf, and Shiryu around him, like they could easily just off him at this point. If like Kuzan's not like, no, we need to keep him alive or whatever.
And from what I don't know, I guess like when you look at the panel, it's basically implying that they wouldn't be able to capture Garp if it wasn't for Kuzan.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, San Juan Wolf was in the fucking ocean not too long ago. Like, you know?
Yeah, he shows up with a big old bump on his head. He's not doing anything.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's kind of, I don't know, that's how I gauge it there. Okay. Oh wait, this was the point I wanted to get across here. So we've seen Kid get defeated, Law get defeated, and now we've seen Garp get defeated in this arc. But I think this goes back to the beginning of our conversation about ethic, duty, and all this stuff compared to being a pirate. And you can't really say Garp lost. In a way, he won. Because he fulfilled his dream, right, to save the next generation for justice. Kid and Law, they just lost, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think there's this dynamic, and I'm not saying, okay, maybe for Kid I can say this, but for Law's not just in it for himself, you know, per se, but I think the nature of their roles in the story, pirates are primarily out for themselves at the end of the day, while the Marines, when they do their job right, are doing their life for the service of others, you know? So even when they lose, they're winning, right? Because they're helping the greater good. While they just fucking lost, Kid and Law. That's it. There's nothing good came out of their losses, you know? Yeah. While Garp is just here, like, happy, you know? And I think in a way, Blackbeard Pirates are fucking pissed, you know, because they can't take away his happiness here, you know? Right? And so that's what I mean. I think, like, how Oda's developed the Marines, just with these chapters and everything, has been so good, you know? So that's just kind of how I view that there.
Yeah. No, I agree. But it looks like we're done with all our side stories, and then looks like we're getting back to the Straw Hats next chapter.
So after what happened to Garp here, do you think there's a chance that Luffy comes out successfully, or does he fail like all the others?
That's hard to say, because it seems like, just in terms of what's happening, everything is going right, or it's positive toward a Yonko. Like Shanks took out Kid, Blackbeard took out Garp, and Luffy being the other emperor, he could potentially come out of this positively.
Oh, Blackbeard took out Law too. Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But yeah, I think it might be a positive for him, but it's hard to say because there's Saint Saturn coming toward Egghead, and I don't know. It's been a while.
And Kizaru.
Yeah, it's been like 4 months since we've seen Luffy.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And
you go ahead.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm tending towards more just after seeing Kuzan's performance in this fight too, and how like much the Blackbeard Pirates are struggling. I'm starting to think like if you're having Saturn there, and Kizaru, it's looking a little grim, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand what you're saying there, but at the same time, I feel like this might just be a humbling arc after the huge W's they've been getting in Wano, you know.
No, I get that, but
yeah,
I could go either way on it.
No, same. Same.
Yeah.
I think some who are saying that Luffy's gonna stomp the floor with Kizaru, I think they need to kind of chill after what we saw on this with these past couple chapters with the Kuzan Garp dynamic. I don't think it's gonna be as clear cut as people think it is.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah. So, any closing thoughts? Fucking phenomenal chapter for a phenomenal arc. That's all I can say. I mean, it's honestly a 10 out of 10 chapter for me.
Egghead over Wano. That's all.
Yes. That's yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So please like and subscribe if you haven't. And we will definitely get out some videos for you guys during this break week. It sucks that we're at break after the Void Month, but you know what? Oda just delivered a fire chapter, so he deserves it.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, anyways, guys, have a good one. Peace.
See ya.